Rocksteady, the very praised and applauded studio which brought us the excellent Batman Arkham trilogy, hasn't really released or announced a game since 2015 when they wrapped up with Arkham Knight. So a lot of people have been speculating, hey, what are they up to? They've been very tight-lipped about their next project. Some people, there's been leaks of a Harry Potter game that people have kind of looked at and said, well, that could be them. That kind of looks like it might be what they're looking at. Got their possible fingerprints on it. And the other big rumor that we're going to actually talk about now is they could be making a Justice League game which takes place in the same universe as the Arkham games.
Because if we can't have a good movie, maybe we can have a good game.
Right. Well, I mean, it's very rare to have both be good. Normally one is going to be
that's
terrible.
True. I mean, and I don't expect...
Spider-Man 2 is the exception. Excellent movie, excellent game. Not amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Just Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I remember as a kid... it was the least favorite, just because it had the least Spider-Man in it. But now I kind of appreciate it more.
Yeah, I mean...
For the story and
him losing
character.
His powers, like, I always... I grew up watching 90s Spider-Man, the cartoon. And that was like a big story arc, and it lasted way too long. And when I was a kid, I was just like, I just want to see him be Spider-Man and kick people. I hate the fact that he's losing his powers, but... And they didn't really do it well in the film.
No?
Yeah, they just made it be like, oh, well, he's not focused. He's not focused.
So therefore it doesn't work. Yeah,
therefore it doesn't.
It is a little weird.
They didn't
How did it work in the show?
He just lost his powers because he was actually about to change into the man spider. Because
spider.
Basically the radioactive spider bite was still changing his body, and he was still undergoing changes. So every so often he'd just lose his powers. That's interesting. And it was because he was about to turn into like a man-sized spider, which he did, and then people were able to.
Well, that's
save
interesting, but I don't think the movie could have touched on that. That would have been a little bit
too comic booky for a comic book movie.
Yeah. Or
superhero movie, I should say. So yeah, Justice League. Yes, please. Okay. So for one thing, Batman. You could make the argument that Batman had some good games in the '90s. He had some good beat 'em ups, but by and large, they're not good. They don't really hold up compared to other beat 'em up games or I think even platform games during the 8-bit era. He had some pretty stellar Ninja Gaiden style games available for the NES. So, but for the most part, like we got into the late 90s and early 2000s, just kind of like the generation 5 and 6 of video games were not kind to Batman. I think I played something called maybe The Revenge of Sinzu or something like that on the GameCube with my cousin, and it was like an overhead brawler, but it was at a time when like everyone kept saying one-liners in games, and Batman is not chatty.
Yeah.
When he beats someone up, he's not going to be like, that was a good one, huh, Robin? Like, he wouldn't say something like that. It's just really weird. But we got to the late aughts, I guess we call them, the late 2000s, or the aughts, and we get Arkham Asylum, and it blows everyone away. Like, it's the definitive, at that point in time, it was the definitive Batman game. Like, nothing came close. It was a Batman game that we all knew, like, hey, it makes you feel like Batman. It makes you feel like a detective.
You feel like that game is kind of like this new Spider-Man game, in a way?
With the exception of, that was like a watershed moment for Batman where just everything changed.
Okay.
Whereas this is like an evolution of games that we've already seen for Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay.
Like the open world aspect. Just done really well.
But like as far as like
modernized,
being the best, like
it's definitely the best one. And I mean, like, you know, Arkham City came along in 2011, and I would argue it improved on it, made Arkham Asylum better. A lot of people don't like Arkham Knight because there's too much of the Batmobile in it, which I haven't played through Arkham Knight yet. But my only question is, how do you have too much Batmobile?
You can never have too much Batmobile.
It's like saying,
nothing.
Man, I hate the part of the Power Ranger show when they call them Megazord. What are you, stupid? That's the best part of the show. But I digress. So yes, Justice League by Rocksteady. They've shown that they can handle Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Superman has never had a good video game. He's never even had a decent video game.
Well, he was okay in the Lego video games.
Those don't count. I hate to burst your bubble there, but
Okay.
but just like do something with that. Like even make it. You know what I would do if I were working at Rocksteady? I'd make this game. I'd make it so that you do, of course, it being the Justice League, you would play it as at least 5 different characters.
Yeah, and like have a section for each of them.
Yeah, like different mission types.
And then like eventually you get to where you kind of like play like a whole like kind of
Right.
section as all of them.
Like make Batman stealth gameplay. Make Superman flight.
You
like,
get water with
where,
Aquaman.
Where you're trying to like where you have to like fly from like point A to point B underneath a certain time limit as Spider-Man, as Superman. Because that's the most interesting part about Superman is the flying thing. With Wonder Woman, make her like have beat 'em up sections.
Yeah,
because she's not invincible.
And you can get water levels with Aquaman because every video game needs water levels.
Yeah, and he could even be like a mix of all of the other ones.
That'd be cool.
Oh, and the Flash, have him run from point A to
fast.
point B. And you can even have him do like beat 'em ups because he's not invincible either.
Right.
So if anyone has the best chance of doing the Justice League game solid, it would be Rocksteady, just because they have such good instincts when it comes to the DC superheroes.
Yeah, I mean that sounds really cool. Actually,
it would be a challenge because, in my opinion, Batman is the best part of the DC universe.
Yeah, and you have to make the other ones like interesting enough where you like playing as them and you like.
Can you make them as interesting as Batman?
That's the challenge that the DC cinematic universe has been having.
As a whole, although they figured it out. They made Batman as uninteresting as the rest of the DC characters. That's how they did it.
They brought him down to earth.
Right. They brought him down to the other standards.
They knew they wouldn't stand a chance against the Christopher Nolan trilogy Batman, so they were just like, let's make our own.
Let's just make them all gritty and old and weird. Yeah. So what do you think of a Justice League game by Rocksteady, folks?
Good idea, bad idea? Leave your comments.